Welcome to Bible Stories in Pictures, where we bring the most incredible stories of the Bible to life. Today's story continues the extraordinary journey of the Israelites after their escape from Egypt, led by Moses. The road to the Promised Land was filled with trials, miracles, and unforgettable lessons. Stay with us as we embark on this powerful adventure. The sea had closed behind them, its roaring waves sealing their freedom. The Israelites stood on the other side, staring at the vast wilderness ahead. Songs of victory filled the air, but beyond the celebration lay the unknown. A land had been promised, but the journey to reach it would test their faith like never before. Moses stood among them, his gaze firm. The God who had led them out of Egypt would not abandon them now. The path ahead would be long, but every step would reveal something greater, a lesson, a trial, and a glimpse of the power that had delivered them. Many events took place on the journey to the Promised Land. 1. Bitter water turned sweet as recorded in Exodus, chapter 15, verses 22 to 27. The sun burned high in the sky as Moses led the people deeper into the wilderness. Days passed, and their water supply ran low. Lips cracked, throats burned, and children clung to their mothers, crying for relief. A shout of joy rose when they spotted a well ahead. Hope filled their hearts. Men rushed forward, scooping water into their hands, but the moment it touched their tongues, they spat it out. Bitter. Undrinkable. A wave of despair swept over them. Frustration boiled. Some turned to Moses, their voices sharp with anger. But Moses did not answer them. Instead, he walked closer to the water. Eyes lifted, hands raised, he sought the Lord who had brought them here. A whisper of instruction followed. A branch, lying nearby, was picked up and thrown into the well. A man hesitated, cupping the water again. He sipped, then gasped. Sweet. Fresh. Life-giving. The crowd surged forward, drinking deeply. The journey continued, but a lesson remained: provision would come, but trust was needed. 2. Bread came down from heaven as written in Exodus, chapter 16. Days turned to weeks. Their supplies dwindled, and hunger took hold. Memories of food from Egypt haunted them. Doubts crept in. Had Moses led them into the wilderness only to perish? Moses turned to God, and the answer came at dawn. Something unfamiliar covered the ground. Tiny flakes, like frost, scattered as far as the eye could see. The Israelites knelt, picking it up, tasting it. A murmur spread, sweet, unlike anything they had ever eaten. They gathered just enough for the day. In the evening, another wonder: quail filled the camp, enough for every household. The next morning, the flakes returned, and again the next day. Each sunrise brought a reminder: provision was not an accident. It came with purpose, but trust was required. Hoarding led to waste, but obedience brought daily renewal. 3. Water came out from the rock as explained in Exodus, chapter 17, verses 1 to 7. The wilderness stretched on, and once again, thirst gripped them. This time, there was no well, no sign of relief. Desperation turned to anger. Moses, weary but unwavering, stood before them. His voice carried over the crowd, calling for patience, but they would not be silenced. Moses withdrew, seeking guidance. A response came. A command. Before the crowd, he approached a towering rock. A hush fell as he lifted his staff, then struck the stone. Silence. Then, a deep rumble. A crack split through the rock, and from within, a rush of water burst forth, spilling into the dry earth. Gasps turned to cheers as the people ran to drink. They had doubted, but God had provided again through Moses. For they had victory against the enemy as recorded in Exodus, chapter 17, verses 8 to 16. Not all threats came from thirst and hunger. One day, a warning cry shattered the air: an enemy approached. The people scrambled, weapons drawn, fear in their eyes. Moses called for warriors, sending them into battle. But the true battle took place elsewhere. On a hill, Moses stood, staff raised. As long as it remained lifted, Israel advanced. But his arms grew heavy. Strength faded. Aaron and Hur stood beside him. Seeing his struggle, they acted, one on each side, lifting his arms when he could not. Together they held firm, and below, the battle turned in their favor. By sunset, the enemy was defeated. Victory did not come from strength alone, but from unity, perseverance, and unwavering trust. 5. The Commandments and the Golden Calf as recorded in Exodus, chapters 19, 20 and 32. The Israelites reached a mighty mountain, and a call came. Moses was to ascend alone. Smoke and fire covered the peak. The ground trembled. A voice, powerful and commanding, spoke, giving words that would shape them, a law, a guide, a covenant. Days passed, and impatience stirred below. Whispers grew into demands. They wanted something to see, something to follow. Hands worked, shaping metal into an image. Celebrations erupted, and they forgot the God who had saved them. Then, footsteps. Moses returned, carrying the words written on stone. He stopped. His eyes widened. Before him, they danced around the idol. The stone tablets fell, shattering. A silence fell. Shame followed. A lesson learned: true faith could not be replaced by false images. 6. The reports from the spies as recorded in Numbers, chapters 13 to 14. Finally, the edge of the land was reached. Moses sent spies ahead. When they returned, their faces told two different stories, some filled with courage, others gripped with fear. The land was beautiful, rich, flowing with abundance. But it was guarded. Giants lived there. Cities stood fortified. Fear spread. The people hesitated. Their hearts failed. The land was before them, but they turned away. A delay followed. 40 years. The doubters would not see the promise fulfilled. 7. Moses' final moments and the crossing of the sea as written in Deuteronomy chapter 34 and Joshua, chapters 1 to 3. Time passed. A new generation rose. Once more, they stood at the border. A river lay before them, wide and deep. But the God who had parted the sea would do it again. As they stepped forward, the waters rolled back, making a path. Moses did not walk with them this time. His journey had ended, but his purpose had been fulfilled. Another led them now. As they stepped onto the land, the past was behind them. The journey had been long, filled with trials and triumphs. But every step had shaped them into a people ready to receive the promise. The lessons we can learn from the story. 1. Faith requires trust. The Israelites had to trust that provision would come, even when they could not see it. True faith means believing that the one who leads will provide, even in the most difficult times. 2. Obedience brings blessings. When the people followed instructions, they received food, water, and victory. But when they disobeyed, consequences followed. Obedience leads to good outcomes, while disobedience can bring hardship. 3. Patience is important. The journey took longer because the people doubted and hesitated. Sometimes, blessings are delayed because of fear or impatience. Learning to wait and trust is a valuable lesson. 4. God's provisions are always enough. The manna, water, and victories in battle showed that needs would always be met. Even when resources seem scarce, provision will come at the right time. 5. Avoid idolatry and distractions. The Israelites turned to an idol when they felt lost. This teaches that staying focused on the right path is important, rather than looking for quick and easy answers. 6. Courage leads to victory. Those who trusted and believed in the promise were the ones who entered the land. Fear and doubt can hold people back, but courage helps in overcoming obstacles. 7. Every journey has challenges. The road to great things is not always easy. The Israelites faced hunger, thirst, enemies, and hardships, but through each challenge, they grew stronger. 8. Community and unity matter. When Moses' arms grew tired, others helped him. Working together, supporting one another, and standing strong as a group leads to success. 9. A new generation can bring change. The first generation hesitated and missed their chance, but the next generation embraced the promise. New beginnings often require a change in mindset and action. 10. The journey prepares us for the destination. The wilderness shaped the Israelites into a people ready for the promised land. Hard times are sometimes necessary to prepare for the blessings ahead. The road to the promised land was not just about reaching a place, it was about learning trust, patience, and obedience. Through challenges, victories, and moments of failure, the people grew. Their story reminds us that the journey of faith is not always easy, but every trial leads to something greater. Did this journey inspire you? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Bible Stories in Pictures for more incredible Bible adventures. Stay with us for the next story, and remember, faith always leads to something greater. Bye.